my profession, right? I'm an HR professional. So a large part of what I do is I look at CVs and I make snap judgments on people. I've kind of trained myself over years, almost a decade, of looking at a CV and kind of figuring out এই ছেলেটাকে দিয়ে কাজ, ওই ছেলেটা বা এই মেয়েটাকে দিয়ে কাজ করানো যাবে না, কাজ করানো যাবে না। তা তুমি চাও একটা লেদা পোলা যারে আম্মু আব্বু
যে বাবা মার কাছে যাবে, নিজের বাপের কাছে যে বলবে ড্যাডি ড্যাডি আই ওয়ান্ট আ গার্ল, এন্ড ড্যাডি উইল বি লাইক ওকে আই উইল গেট ইউ আ গার্ল।
মানে প্রেম করাটাকেই খারাপভাবে দেখে। হ্যাঁ, এটা কেন দেখে আমি বলি, ইট গোজ ব্যাক টু সিম্পলি বিল্ডিং ট্রাস্ট উইথ ইউর প্যারেন্টস, রাইট? আমি যেটা বলি, সো আমার ইয়াঙ্গার কাজিনসরা যখন আমার কাছে অ্যাডভাইস চায়, ভাইয়া মা এটা করতে দিচ্ছে না, আমি এটা করতে চাই, ধরো মিউজিক করতে চাই বা ট্রিপে যেতে চাই ফ্রেন্ডদের সাথে, with your parents on the largest volcanic lake in the world. It's called Lake Toba. That's also in the island of Sumatra. Machkane, and there's a video on YouTube about it. I got lost. Amra namaz puri. Namazta ki 5 times a day.
It's meditation.
You leave everything that you
it's
think about.
This meditation.
You
So ভাই এখন কি করতেছেন?
আমি এখন কি করতেছি, তোমার সাথে বসে পডকাস্ট করতেছি, আর কি করছি
না এমনি in life other than that.
Sure. So I'm actually gonna take this as a cue to do a quick intro of myself. So my name is Sifat. I'm an HR professional by day, right? So our kaj involves hiring and firing people for companies. That's it, right? Okay. That's what I do by day. By night I do a few more things. Some people might know me from my content. আমি অনলাইনে কিছু কন্টেন্ট ক্রিয়েট করি, টিকটকে, ফেসবুকে, ইনস্টাগ্রামে অ্যান্ড অল অফ দ্যাট। আমি মিউজিকও করি। সো আমাকে হয়তো কেউ স্টেজেও দেখছে, আমার একটা ব্যান্ড আছে নাম দ্য হেড অফিস, আমার আরেকটা ইলেকট্রনিক মিউজিক একটা আছে, ইটস কল ব্রাউন, BROUN. And yeah, I overall like doing a lot of creative things. I try to involve a lot of creativity in my work. That's who I am.
What kind of music that you do?
What kind of music that I do? Man, honestly, I try to keep the genre very open. But the head office, my new band, or like 1.5-year-old band now, is mostly rock and roll. Okay. But yeah, that's it. I mean, if you guys like rock and roll music, go on Spotify, search up the head office. We've got 2 songs there already. More are on the way. And my other band, Brown, it's electronic. So we explored a lot of like electronic pop. But currently, I think last few releases have been quite house inspired. So house music jara pochondo kore, you might like our music.
Dhaka, is there a lot in the genre you're in? So Bangladeshi type of music hoy?
Yeah, of course. I think both my bands are Bangladeshi esho music hoy ebong onek listeners ache. I personally am onektai ami eta bedroom musician. Ami basha theke বাইরে হই কম. So I don't know too much about the scene here, but I do know that there's a like especially for house music. I think rock music scene is quite well established and everyone listens to rock music. Yeah. For house music or electronic music in general, আমি যতটা observe করেছি last 2-3 বছরে, last 5 বছরের মধ্যে অনেক listener বেড়ে গেছে. And I think there's a scene now. There's a lot of DJs playing, a lot of quality DJs that are coming out from the scene. So yeah, I think it's on the rise. Or maybe I'm just way too optimistic.
Yeah. Could we play your music in the background?
Sure.
Right now?
Sure, I'll link it to you.
Okay. So we will do that. But why did you go into music? Did you always have a passion for this?
Why did I go into music, bro? Music is like, I think in an alternate universe, I'm a full-time musician.
Okay.
I've always had a knack for music. ছোটবেলা থেকে আমার ফ্যামিলিতে everyone's musicians. My mom was a singer. My dad was not a musician, but he's an artist. He used to be a theater artist actually. So art was something যেটা আমাদের বাসায় অনেক encourage করা হতো. And that's how I got into it.
Your father was a theater artist?
He used to be a theater actor. He was theater acting করতো.
সেটা বলছিস মানে বাংলাদেশে?
বাংলাদেশে, হ্যাঁ।
Wow.
So বাংলাদেশে একটা নাটকের দল আছে, অনেক ফেমাস, অনেক প্রেস্টিজিয়াস, পদাতিক নাট্য সংসদ। বাবা পদাতিকের সাথে জড়িত, I think from the 70s or maybe early 80s থেকে। সো বাবা ছোটোবেলায় আমরা বাবার নাটক দেখতে যেতাম while he was performing. সো এগুলো দেখতাম. Now he's still involved in theater, but more as a background person. He helps organize shows. He sometimes MCs shows.
So you went on to these shows when you were little?
হ্যাঁ, ছোটবেলা থেকে। এখন এই বছরও গেছি। বাবা অ্যাক্টিং করে না, বাট উপস্থাপনা করে, ইন্ট্রোডাকশন করে, হেল্প করে অর্গানাইজিং কমিটিতে। He's a part of the, I think he's a senior secretary of the group আর কি, so guidance করে, yeah.
So ছোটবেলা থেকেই because you were very এইসব দিক থেকে you got to and you were exposed to a lot
Yeah.
of these things, musics and like culture and art, which inspired you to do music?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, music was always encouraged. আমরা টিভি দেখে আমি আর আমার বোন গান টান গাইলে মা and বাবা would be happy. আমাদের অ্যাকচুয়ালি ছোটোবেলায় আমাদেরকে দুজনকেই ক্লাসিক্যাল মিউজিক শেখানো হয়েছিল. I was a rebel, so I always resisted it. But, you know, when I was 12 years old, বাবা একটা গিটার কিনে দিয়েছিল. And that was probably the best thing my
Wait,
father
তার
taught
আগে
me.
you were trained in classical music?
I would not say I was trained.
Okay.
I was forced to sit down and learn like Saregama, but আমি এতই
But you did that though.
I did that
for years.
I mean, not for years. I think like আমি একটা ফাঁকিবাজ ছিলাম.
Okay.
Always ফাঁকিবাজ আছি. মানে আমার ফুপু ক্লাসিক্যালি ট্রেন ছিল. আমার ফুপুর সাথে বসে আমাদেরকে সারেগামা শেখানো হইতো. আমাদের ফ্যামিলিতে আবার একটা রেয়াজ আছে আর কি, আমাদের ফ্যামিলির সবাইকে মিউজিক শেখানো হয়. আমার ফ্যামিলি বলতে একদম পুরো আমার দাদের গোষ্ঠী স্পেশালি, সো লাইক অল মাই কাজিনস দে আর অল ইনটু মিউজিক, রাইট? এটা আমাদের লাইক ইটস আ ফর্ম অফ লাইক মেডিটেশন এন্ড প্রেয়ার ফর আস অলমোস্ট, রাইট? সো ওই দিক থেকে আই লার্নড, বাট মানে আমি ছোটবেলা থেকেই মানে couldn't stay still in one place, so I was very bad at it. I was probably আমার কাজিনদের মধ্যে সবচেয়ে বাজে in music, but you know that মানে I think যেহেতু আমার একটা কথা আছে না, রক্তে আছে. আমার মা সিঙ্গার ছিল এককালে, আমার মার একটা অ্যালবাম বাড়িয়েছিল in the 80s, right? So রক্তে ছিল আমার জিনিসটা. And then যখন when I hit my teenage years, পাশে একটা গিটার ছিল. I saw Linkin Park live in Texas on my DVD and I was blown away. I was like, আমি এটাই করব. And like for my teenage years, you know, teenagers সবাই একটা আইডেন্টিটি থাকে না, they are the cool kids. মানে if you go to any high school, দেখা যায় যে there's these kids who are into sports, the jocks, right? There are these guys who do খুব মানে কাপড় চোপড় ফ্যাশন নিয়ে খুব. I was the nerdy musician guy.
So you wanted to be a rock star?
I was the guy with the bangs and, you know, like trying to play guitar. সবাই স্কুলে জানতো এই ছেলে গিটার বাজায়, গান গায়. And like
long hair?
লং হেয়ার পরে হয়েছে, লং হেয়ার কারণ সো ফানি স্টোরি হচ্ছে 7, 8, 9 ক্লাস 7 ওই সময় থাকতে বাবা মা লং হেয়ার রাখতে দিত না, সো আই হ্যাড দ্য ইমো ব্যাংকস এট দ্য টাইম. But then after I became like, I think I started growing my hair out when I was 26. So when I was 27, 28, I had long hair. Actually, I had long hair till like 4 months ago. So I cut it off recently. I think, yeah. I mean, I'm still a rock star, but like I just don't want to get bald so soon. So that's why I can't cut my hair off.
I don't understand what's the, like how having long hair is biadobi in Bangladeshi. Like how did that happen?
I think বেয়াদবি in বাংলাদেশি না, বেয়াদবি না, এটা I think জিনিসটা বলতে হবে ব্যতিক্রমী, ঠিক আছে?
ব্যতিক্রমী, বাট থাকে না, you look like a rebel. হ্যাঁ, ও একটু টাইপের আছে না, বা ও একটু কথা শুনে না, বাবা মা নিশ্চয়ই চুল।
And that's exactly why people choose to have it. কারণ দেখো লং হেয়ার রাখা কিন্তু খুব অ্যানোয়িং.
It is. I had long hair in the like half of the episodes on Paka Kotha, and like half, and now it's more.
হ্যাঁ, man, like you know how it is, like খুশকি অনেক বেশি হয়, মেইনটেইন করতে হয়, তেল দিতে হয়, হেয়ার ফলের জমি কেটে ফেলছি. Even though mashallah I still have a lot of hair, touch wood. Yeah, so like I think জিনিসটা মানে talking about long hair and then ব্যতিক্রমী কেন, right? Like stereotypically men have shorter hair. It's easier to maintain, it looks more professional, looks cleaner. Long hair is just a way of saying like F you to the system. Yeah, আমি মানি না, আমি বড় চুল রাখবো. And obviously that also become a style statement, and that's why people have long hair, and that's why I chose to have long hair, and that's why rock stars have long hair, because rock stars by nature, why আমরা রক মিউজিক শুনতে চাই বা অ্যাট্রাক্টেড হই রক মিউজিকের প্রতি, ইজ বিকজ এটা একটা ব্যতিক্রমী জিনিস, তাই না? তো হ্যাঁ, ওর লম্বা চুল সব ব্যতিক্রমী, ওর চুল ঝাঁকাঝাঁকি করে, I don't know, that's what I feel. It's a good question though, I never thought about it that way. I just wanted to have long hair, that's why I had long hair.
Now I have যেরকম, if you think about it, having longer hair should be a normal thing, right? Hair cutting is something আমরা তো আর কেভের ভিতর থেকে হেয়ার কাটিং শিখি নাই, right? So what happened is like the British came, like Muslims raw kintu if you go into the Bible and the like all the cultures, you will see people had long hair, because to that time we did not have scissors or things like that to cut your hair. You had to like cutting hair was a event.
Acha. The
military came, the British came, and like তখন থেকে this type of cut is the military derivative cut একটা. So ওইটা থেকে we followed, and আমরা কি ভাবতাম সভ্য কারা, these people.
Yeah.
So we were just emulating
সভ্যতা
our masters by cutting our hair. That's it.
অসভ্য হয়ে যায় আবার সবাই
আমরা সবাই আবার অসভ্য হয়ে যাই।
Actually, one of the reasons why আমি লম্বা চুল রাখছি, and লম্বা চুল was actually in some ways very easy to maintain, is because চুল কাটার খরচটা বাঁচতো সময়, and like I think when I have short hair I feel very insecure because চুল এমনি আসবো একটু উঠাবো না নামাবো, আর আমার চুল মানে তোমার মতো সোজা না, আমার চুল is quite thick and like quite wavy.
That is better for smaller hair.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like when I had long hair, if I just tied it into a bun, it looks sexy. But like, so like, choto chul is like, I get more insecure, and like, I feel like I need to spend more time styling it than while having long hair.
Now, I have long ears, very long ears. So big like
you
long
cover
hair.
it up.
Yeah, it helped.
Yeah.
But also very much hair fall
man.
shuru korche.
Yeah.
And also, if I tie it like that, I would look like an Asian guy. I would look like a Japanese, the samurai guy.
I like that.
I don't look good in that. So basically, I cut it, and also the শীতকালে it's maintainable, but গরমকালে it becomes too tough. I don't know how women do it.
More respect for women.
And like hair fall, তারপর আরো bunch of laundry list of issues বড় hair
খুশকি কত কিছু হয় আল্লাহ
কিভাবে মেইনটেইন করা হয়। and also men don't understand this, যারা বড় চুলে এটা বুঝতে পারবে, that is when you wash your hair, গোসল করার পরে we take about like 30 seconds to like ছোট চুল থাকলে just 30 seconds and it's like
কয়বার ঠান্ডা লাগছে কারণ
বড় চুল থাকলে it's not that easy, it takes a lot of time.
শাওয়ারে ওই যে চুল আটকা যায়, ও অসহ্য, the worst.
Oh my god. এখন তো আপনার রিসেন্টলি বিয়ে হয়েছে, চুল বড় হয়ে থাকলে এরকম বেডের মধ্যে চুল পাইতেন বউয়ের না নিজের সামনে
my wife who was when we first met, we met in 2018. I had long hair. And actually the last time I grew out my hair was because, she was my friend first, then my girlfriend, then now my wife. When we first met, she thought I was really hot because of the long hair.
Do women like long hair?
I mean,
guys?
she likes it. Women in general.
Let us know. Like,
she liked it, and তখন যে 2016, 17, 18 এর দিকে একটা বড় ট্রেন্ড হয়েছিল, সবাই লং হেয়ার রাখা শুরু করেছে. It was a big trend, the whole man bun thing. So that's why I followed the trend. Okay. So. And then when we started dating, which was about 2 years ago, I had short hair. And then, one day she says, oh, that long hair was a vibe. And I was like, acha, I took it as a sign, and I koshto kore abar chulta boro korchi. Ebar katchi, but like she really enjoys the long hair. So, yeah.
So you recently got married.
Yes.
How did your life change after that?
Great question. I think,
for reference, you are in your early 30s?
I'm in my mid-30s.
You're in your mid-30s.
I just turned 35 2 days ago.
Okay.
So, yeah. So I got how has life changed, right? So আমি যে মানে যা বলার আগে আমি বলবো যে আমি এখনো মাত্র বিয়ে করছি, সো এভরিওয়ান সেজ দ্যাট আই এম স্টিল ইন দ্য হানিমুন ফেজ। এখন সব ভালো লাগতেছে, 3 মাস পরে আর ভালো লাগবে না, অল দ্যাট। সো ফার আই থিংক it's cool. Like you
give us the like 1 month version.
The 1 month version is I think the biggest like wake up call is like there's a player 2 in the simulation, right?
Okay.
If life is a simulation, there's a player 2 in it, and all of a sudden you're no longer playing the game alone, you're playing the game with someone else.
Okay.
That's the biggest realization.
এখন একটা NPC is a main character.
Exactly. There's 2 main characters now.
Okay.
Right? Everyone, like before you were the main character and like everyone else is NPCs. Now you got 2 main characters. Yeah. So you gotta balance the aspirations, goals, and like like asha pratasha of 2 people, right? So that's the first realization, and that's not good or bad. That just is, right?
Okay.
That's just a realization. The good things have been, I think. In my 20s, I felt like I spent a lot of years just focused on like me. Okay. Me. I want money. I want fame. I want this. I want that. Right? This me to we transition is quite beautiful because you kind of realize that a lot about your life is about serving others, and obviously you serve others. In my 20s I've served my parents, and I've served my cousins and my nephew and my niece in many ways,
but be constantly sort of responsible for someone.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, not responsible. I feel like my partner,
I'm sure your wife is responsible for herself, but you get what I like as a মানে যত এটা হোক, you sometimes I feel a lot of men feel sort of responsibility over their wife,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
যে হ্যাঁ না মানে
Yeah.
for example if there is a security issue, right, or whatever, you're always
You're the
thinking that,
first
right?
one on call. You're the first one on speed dial.
Right,
You're the first one who's a guardian of the
Yeah,
person, right?
yeah, yeah.
So that's cool. So and এইটা থেকে ভালো জিনিসের যেটা হচ্ছে you get this sense of purpose, which I think is awesome. So if you observe many famous people or like people who are like men, like let's talk about men because we are both men and
Yeah.
heterosexual men, you can see like a pattern je people who are very successful at what they do, they have like a constant stable partner, right? And I'm starting to see why it is so. In my 20s, I was with a lot of different partners, right? I mean, not that I'm not proud of that or whatever, right? It was a phase. Now that I'm with a constant partner for a while, like she's been my girlfriend for over 2 years, and now we're married. I do see the benefits of having that one stable partner because it gives you a really stable base to think from, to operate from. It's very hard to explain unless you've experienced it.
Is it like, so there is two aspects, like outside aspect, house aspect. So do you feel like your house aspect is somehow managed or stable that now that your wife is here?
Yes and no. I think house aspect আমি অন্য একটা
Do you
stable
now do you live alone?
কারেন্টলি বাবার সাথে থাকি আমার বাবা।
তো বাবা মার সাথে থাকে।
বাবা মা মারা গেছে বাট বাবার সাথে থাকি। ইয়া সো আই থিংক হাউসের ক্ষেত্রে যেটা বলবো মানে ওই মানে তোমার কোয়েশ্চেন একটু ডিফারেন্ট ভাবে আনসার করি। ইটস লাইক হাউসে যেরকম আমি সকালে উঠে কফি বানাইতাম নিজের জন্য, এখন নিজের জন্য কফি বানাই, রাইট? সকালে উঠে first thing I do is like, oh, use the bathroom or whatever. Now I'm always thinking, okay, you know, my wife goes to work really early. অনেক সকালবেলা উঠে 7টার মধ্যে বের হয়ে যায় বাসায়. I think she wakes up at like 6:30. So I'm always thinking, okay, like how do I plan my schedule around this? So there's these like little adjustments here and there, but also like quite nice. You know, we do things for each other and all that. That's the house element. Outside element, আরো interesting changes. হঠাৎ করে না লাইক সোসাইটিতে সম্মান বেড়ে গেছে আমার। সত্যি ব্রো, লাইক আমি আগে ওকে যখন ওর বাসায় নামাইতে যেতাম, আমি ওর বাসার মানে গেটের কোনাটায় কোন রকমে নামাই দিয়ে হ্যাঁ বেব বাই বেরো চলে যেতাম। এখন আমি মানে গেটের ধারে কাছে আসলে বড় বড় সালাম আসা শুরু করে, কারণ আমি জামাই এখন ওই বাসার।
Is it just from the in-laws?
No, not just from the in-laws, from everywhere, right? Look, I've been like, you know, one of the things we talked about before the episode was আমার solo travel করা and all of that, right? মানে when you're a solo traveler, when you're 26, 27, you're sexy, you know. Oh, that guy who's a wild stallion just solo travel করতেছে, অনেক hot একটা বেটা. When you're 35 and solo traveling, I'm just like, what's wrong with this guy? Like, মেয়েটে পায়রা বলে মেয়েটে পায়রা বলে। এখন হঠাৎ করে বিয়ে হয়েছে, সোসাইটিতে ভ্যালু বেড়ে গেছে। ও আচ্ছা, এটা মিস্টার, এটা মিসেস, you know. And then you know, like, you know,
so sort of people see you as more responsible.
Yeah, people see us more responsible. It's crazy, man. Like even me and some of my guy friends.
So now you feel like a proper adult. Because now, and also society sees you like a proper adult. You are that age.
Effect is real, man.
You are also married.
You are so stable. বিয়ে করছে তার মানে নিশ্চয়ই ছেলেটা অনেক রেসপন্সিবল। Like এরকম একটা, or at least মানে I don't know, people project some sort of maturity into you.
Also, it makes sense because now you'll not go very left or right. You'll stay within the societal bounds now. You're married.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think that way, and it's a funny transition to me and some of my guy friends are talking about it, right? When it comes to, let's say, attraction with women, right? Like, you know, when you're single and you're trying to talk to a girl, and let's say a girl you like, when you talk to a girl and the girl knows that you're taken or you have a woman, all of a sudden the attraction is way more, right? I remember wife
attraction is more.
Attraction,
from their side,
because it's something you can't have, right? So it's so funny, right?
I think there is a I think it could be when today, for example, I'm not married. If I approach a girl I don't know, she will হয়তো বা কাজের জন্য ফোন দিতেছি বা কোনটা, but maybe she will think from a point, okay, this guy is single, maybe there is
he's into me,
maybe he's into me,
ulterior motive,
or maybe there is an ulterior motive here.
But when you have a wife, না তো বউ আছে,
he's not interested in me.
So ওই দিক থেকে it's so interesting, right? I was showing my like the first day, so I didn't make a big fuss about my wedding on social media. I didn't tell আমার বিয়েটা অনেক ছোট করে হয়েছে, খুব মজা হয়েছে, মানে অনেক ছোট করে হয়েছে। So friend, খুব ক্লোজ ফ্রেন্ড বাদে কেউ জানে না। So আমি হঠাৎ করে ফট করে বিয়ে ছবি দিয়ে দিছি অনলাইনে, ঠিক আছে, ইনস্টাগ্রাম স্টোরিজে, লাইক কমেন্ট আসতে আসতে, মানে মাই মোস্ট লাইকড ইনস্টাগ্রাম পোস্ট এভার ওয়াজ মাই ওয়েডিং ফটো।
Everyone like bam.
মানে hit them like a rock, মানে everyone, especially like আমি আমার girlfriend, we've been dating for 2+ years. হ্যাঁ, we never posted any photos with each other because like আমাদের একটা চিন্তা ছিল যে না, নজর লাগবে ভাই,
হ্যাঁ,
something good is
the
going
best
on.
relationships are private relationships.
Exactly, and we learned that, and obviously also I'm like too older, right? We're in our 30s, so we're older than the average couple who are dating. Usually by our age people get married.
And I'm sure you had past girlfriends Instagram pictures.
হ্যাঁ, সারাদিন পোস্ট করতাম, তারপরে so we all were, in fact me and my girlfriend got together, me and my wife got together after আমরা দুজন ছেঁকা খাইছি.
Okay.
We were each other's rebounds, and it worked out. I'm very glad it happened. Okay. Anyway, so just going back to that point, so when the day I posted, just hundreds and thousands of comments started coming, and I was literally showing my wife, babe, this girl ghosted me 2 years ago. This all these girls who like ghosted me years ago and months ago, built it all of a sudden long ass DMs. Oh my god, Sifat, I'm so happy, congratulations, this is so, you and your wife are so cute. And I was just like thinking like, I scroll up on the message thread, I'm like, I scroll up on I triple texted this girl in 2021 and she didn't reply, and all of a sudden she's sending me a long ass message. It's funny how human psychology, no hate against these people, I think you guys are all wonderful people.
This is very concerning, this type of human psychology is very concerning, right?
Concerning now, bro, it just is. I think it's just a normal thing. We always want what we can't. I'm not saying that they're attracted to me. I think most of the people, everyone who messaged me.
You are telling this from a lens of recently married.
Yeah.
Now go into 10 years. Let's say you are in 40, you are 45,
yeah,
right? And now you are attractive to, let's say, 20-year-old girls, and they're always giving you some sort of validation stuff,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
You might have ups and lows with your wife. You can see where a problem might
No, I mean, I think just going, like, I'm going to divert your question and like basically
because I just told you we had a divorce lawyer the other day.
Bro, please, I'm not going to be a conversation of that. Anyways, I think what I want to say now, money, the woman who messaged me, right? Like, there's no hate against it. Like, I don't have any animosity. I think it's just interesting how, yeah, like it goes back to তুমি যে বলছিলা যে life, how has life changed internally in the house and outside of the house. Outside of the house, এইভাবে অনেক changes. Like, people take you more seriously. People are like, oh, this person is actually stepping up and taking responsibility. Oh, this person is no longer traveling the world and meeting tons of women. He's committed to one. It shows, I think, integrity. It shows, it shows integrity. And integrity is a positive trait. Integrity is something that people are attracted to. Like, not just romantically or sexually, but like overall. Like, if I meet someone and I feel like, oh, this is a very high integrity guy, I want to meet him, I want to talk to him, I want to know more from him, right? In the same way, like, I think একটু টপিক চেঞ্জ করি।
হ্যাঁ, ঠিক আছে।
তুমি আমরা যখন আগে ফোনে কথা বলছিলাম, একটু আগেও আমরা ইউনিভার্সিটি ডিগ্রি নিয়ে কথা বলছিলাম, রাইট? যে হ্যাঁ, how it can be sort of a scam, or like how it can be a bit of a, not worth it in 2024. Again, different. I'm not endorsing one or the other. I'm just saying, that's
for a lot of people it could be.
For a lot of people it could be, or like for example, for you tend to have a very. I've seen that you have a pretty strong opinion on like maybe university is not the best decision for youth right now, right?
Not if you want to.
কিছু মানুষের জন্য।
If you want to study a lot and be an engineer, more power to you.
ঠিক আছে. So my profession, right? I'm an HR professional. So a large part of what I do is I look at CVs and I make snap judgments on people. I've kind of trained myself over years, almost a decade, of looking at a CV and kind of figuring out এই ছেলেটাকে দিয়ে এই ছেলেটা বা এই মেয়েটাকে দিয়ে কাজ করানো যাবে না, কাজ করানো যাবে না। এটা কি, will they be a good employee or not, right? Obviously, when someone's dropped out, it's a X factor, a bit of a story. Oh, I want to know why they dropped out, or drop out or key portion.
If it's for the right reasons or not.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, you try to dig into that. But এখানে একটা, a lot of people, this is my answer usually to people who say that university might be a scam, or bhaiya, the common question I get is, bhaiya, university degree কি দরকার আমার এই চাকরিটা পাওয়ার জন্য? ঠিক আছে, আমি যেটা বলি হচ্ছে, দেখো, আমার কাছে ধরো দুটা সিভি আসলো একই চাকরির জন্য, একদম আইডেন্টিক্যাল, XYZ কাজ করেছে, এই স্কিলস আছে, এই ইন্টারভিউতে এরকম করছে। একজনের ডিগ্রি আছে, 4 বছরের ডিগ্রি সে শেষ করছে অন লেটস সে ডিসেন্ট ইউনিভার্সিটি, একজনের নাই, রাইট? I maybe I'm a bit biased because I went to university and I spent a lot of money on it. I will be biased towards
The university guy.
Yes, and I'll tell you why, right?
I know.
Why is because maybe they studied something very obscure, unrelated to where they're working and all of that. Kintu,
But they finished it.
yes, the commitment part, right? এই মানুষটা ইউনিভার্সিটি ডিগ্রি করে শেষ করা মানে কি এই মানুষটা ঠান্ডা হোক গরম হোক সকালবেলা উঠছে ঘুম থেকে উঠছে whether or not he enjoyed what he studied he still went to class because he made a commitment 4 years ago যে ও শেষ করবে ঠিক আছে again we can get into whether it was worth it or not but ওই দিক থেকে আমার একটা সফট স্পট আছে আমার ঠিক আছে you know what যেমনি হোক ছেলেটা বা মেয়েটা একটা জিনিসে প্রমিস করছে জিনিসটা শেষ করছে ভালোভাবে শেষ করছে and so you have that little bias towards it so why I mentioned this university thing is because it's kind of like that whole relationship thing we're talking about as well, right? Like this person's now committed. They put a seal of approval. It's not like they're not just dating; they're married. They're legally bound together, right?
Yeah.
They've made a big show about it. Society knows that they're married. Yeah. They've come out to the parents saying that, oh, we love each other, we want to stay together. So in that way, life changes. So people perceive you differently. I think it's really like, oh man, like my wife's gonna laugh at this, right? Because we've been like, she's been wanting to get married a lot, and I postponed it, and because I had some shit on my end that I wanted to sort out, and then we finally got married. In this last 1 month, I felt several times like, wow, this is awesome. I should have done this before, right? Like, মানে করলেই পারতাম দেরি করলাম so I do
so much easier like things are so much easier
আমার এখন আর মানে আগে ওর সাথে বাইরে হলে রাত 8টা 9টা বাজতেই বাসা থেকে ওর ফোন আসে রাত 12টার সময় ঘুরে বাড়িতে কোনো ফোন আসে না নাইস things are easier
also do you think there is a correlation between as you just said যে আমি বিয়ে করছি and I have like announcement করে করছি right show করে করছি do you think there is a correlation between how much you're showing and how much respect you're getting in return like if you have a big fat wedding calling everyone in the city
I hate big fat weddings I am actively opposed to big fat weddings. আমার বিয়ের মানে even 2 বছর আগে থেকে I set the expectation say babe if we ever get married it's going to be a very small ceremony because I hate weddings.
Sorry to everyone a lot of young people want this but also possible হয় না because the parents
exactly
so it's like তাদের একটা রেপুটেশনের একটা এখানে অনেক খেলা আছে রাইট old traditions রেপুটেশনের ব্যাপার
and it's our responsibility to break those traditions
true
I feel anyway so going back to topic the big show doesn't matter. I think what matters is the few people in your life who actually care. তাদের কাছে তাদের উপরে মানে তাদেরকে একটা ট্রাস্ট দেওয়া তাদেরকে একটা পিস অফ মাইন্ড দেওয়া রাইট আমার বাপ জানতো যে আমার গার্লফ্রেন্ড আছে আমার মানে and I'm a good boyfriend whatever right now my dad I mean not that we openly talked about it but my dad is
he could tell
of course বাপ আমার একই বাসায় থাকি আমরা আমার মা মানে my mom was alive and I would date and you know I had a long term girlfriend তখন আমার মা যখন বেঁচে ছিল মা জানতো এটাকে ঠিক আছে জিনিসটা হচ্ছে ওইটা ঠিক না but like now but the difference is now I have earned that trust with you know the girl's parents my close relatives her close relatives যে না we have actively made a written commitment a spiritual commitment.
But how did you get her parents on board?
Her parents were on board from day one. I think they wanted they were just very happy that their daughter had met someone that she was genuinely interested in marrying. I had dinner with her parents 2 years ago.
Very good in-laws.
I'm so lucky, man. They're awesome people. I'm very, very lucky. Yeah. চলতেছে সব ঠিক আছে মাইক মুখের সামনে আমারটা I think it's okay না একটু উপরে আছে
okay
না it's fine yeah
alright
and I'm like going back and forth এই যে এখানে আসলে মুখের সামনে এখানে আসলে
you can take it a little bit down
yeah I think this is okay
this is fine yeah
alright what's up
হ্যাঁ ঠিক আছে একটু উপরে
I think it's okay
for example I talk মুখটা নিচে করে so my voice directly goes into this
bro DJ mic অনেক ভালো এটা ধরবে সমস্যা নেই
আচ্ছা so কোথায় ছিলাম আমরা right so yeah you're like you're very lucky that you got I have seen a lot of parents যারা the fact এখন obviously অনেক চেঞ্জ হচ্ছে ঢাকা সিটিতে and ঢাকা সিটিতে I think it's more but if you go to like towns and like smaller suburban cities suburban towns the fact that you're in a relationship ওইটা আগে বাদ no matter ওই ছেলেটা কি করছে কি or who is like it's people see I think a lot of people see this as a breach of trust right যে আমার মেয়ের সাথে তুমি প্রেম করছো this is a breach of trust this is not the type of guy I want যে আমার লাইক বিহাইন্ড মাই ব্যাক আমার গায়ে
তা তুমি চাও একটা লেদা পোলা যারে আম্মু আব্বু
যে
এসে
বাবা মার
একটা-
কাছে যাবে নিজের বাপের কাছে যে বলবে ড্যাডি ড্যাডি আই ওয়ান্ট আ গার্ল এন্ড ড্যাডি উইল বি লাইক ওকে আই উইল গেট ইউ আ গার্ল
I think okay. So I've also got opinions about this. I'm actually becoming more and more a fan of arranged marriage.
ওকে why though
Very contradictory. I know.
Okay.
I think parents like know their shit. Like, when especially when I was younger, I had a lot of opinions about আমার এরকম মেয়ে লাগবে এরকম মেয়ে লাগবে হ্যাঁ. Obviously, I lived abroad for many years. So I was like, at one point, I was convinced যে আমি জীবনে কোনো বাংলাদেশি girl's সাথে settle down করবো না. No way.
Okay.
Hell, বিদেশি girls, হ্যাঁ. I want open-minded, like, you know, cool girls. বাংলাদেশি মেয়েরা অনেক বেশি প্যারা দেয়. Actually, সব মেয়েরাই অনেক প্যারা দেয়. So, sorry, what was I saying? To sidetrack. Yeah, so it goes back to actually this whole arranged marriage versus love marriage versus এই যে প্যারেন্টসরা যে তোমার মানে প্রেম করাটাকেই খারাপভাবে দেখে হ্যাঁ এটা কেন দেখে আমি বলি ইট গোজ ব্যাক টু সিম্পলি বিল্ডিং ট্রাস্ট উইথ ইউর প্যারেন্টস রাইট আমি যেটা বলি সো আমার ইয়াঙ্গার কাজিনসরা যখন আমার কাছে অ্যাডভাইস চায় ভাইয়া মা এটা করতে দিচ্ছে না আমি এটা করতে চাই ধরো মিউজিক করতে চাই বা ট্রিপে যেতে চাই ফ্রেন্ডদের সাথে উইথ ইউর প্যারেন্টস in your lifetime, what you should focus about, and this is gold nuggets here, you want to build a trust ladder. This is what I call a trust ladder. এটা আমি একটা টিকটক ভিডিওতে অনেকক্ষণ কথা বলছি এটা নিয়ে ইটস লাইক ধরো প্যারেন্টসরা কেন প্রেম করাটাকে এত বাধা দেয় কারণ প্যারেন্টসরা ভাবে প্যারেন্টসের ফার্স্ট আচ্ছা ছেলে বা মেয়ে প্রেম করতেছে প্রথম রিয়াকশন হয়ে হচ্ছে oh my god my kid doesn't know what they're doing oh my god my kid's gonna end up horribly this person is probably not good for them
ডিভোর্স হয়ে যাবে
by this is going to end horribly they don't know what they're doing like that's and ultimately parents are happy thaki it's a biological need for parents to see their kids happy right
true.
It's programmed into us
True.
right there's nothing religious or spiritual anything about it it's just biological right
biological
so biologically the response mechanism ta hoy hocche je shit my kid is going to be unhappy because of this decision that they're
going to take
right ঠিক আছে এখন হাউ ডু ইউ এটাকে আমরা কিভাবে এড়াতে পারি ছোটবেলা থেকে if someone's watching that's fairly young let's say like under 15 whatever right start building trust with your parents কিভাবে বিল্ড করবা ট্রাস্ট when you go to school try your best to do well in education if you can't communicate with your parents যে আমার ম্যাথে খুব কষ্ট হয় আমার সায়েন্সে কষ্ট এটা একটা ওয়ে লেটস সে তুমি অনেক বায়না করে তোমার মা বাবাকে বললা যে একটা PS5 কিনে দাও আমাকে ঠিক আছে কিনে দিল ইউজ দ্য PS5 রেসপন্সিবলি রাইট না দেখা যাবে PS5টা কিনে দিল তুমি সব কিছু ভুলে গিয়ে তুমি PS5 সারাদিন চালাইলা সারাদিন খেলাটাও খারাপ না কারণ সারাদিন খেলে তুমি হয়তো একটা প্রো গেমার হয়ে যেতে পারো যে তুমি অনেক সাকসেস লাভ করতে পারো গেমার হয় কিন্তু অনেক কষ্ট হ্যাঁ প্রফেশনাল গেমার ইফ ইউর ইন স্পোর্টস or whatever right অনেক কষ্ট whatever you do right build a trust. Let's say when you buy your PS5 and you use it responsibly, you become a really good gamer, but you're also keeping your grades like okay, and you have a social life and all that. Your parents are like, wow, ছেলে কত responsible. আমি PS5 কিনে দিছি.
So having a track record of responsibility with your parents.
Track record of successfully convincing your parents. So it basically increases, right? So PS5 কিনলা, next time ধরো তোমার parents কে তুমি বললা যে বাবা মা আমি ধরো বিদেশ ঘুরতে যেতে চাই with my friends. বাবা will be like, হ্যাঁ কেন অনেক টাকার ব্যাপার তুমি পারবা না এসব ম্যানেজ করতে তুমি উল্টাপাল্টা কাজ তুমি হারায় যাবে and all of that then you can sort of refer back to that that time when you trusted with something else I showed up then you do this and then obviously over time these trust things these add up really right and when you're 20 you're 25 and তুমি প্রেম করতেছো তখন তোমার বাপ মা ভাববে কি what my kid is really smart আমার কিড অনেক ছোটবেলায় অনেকগুলা ক্রস রোড যাচ্ছিলাম যেখানে আমি ওয়ারিড ছিলাম যে ও হয়তো উল্টাপাল্টা কিছু করবে কিন্তু কখনো কিছু করে নাই
so when you have a track record of messing things up then they will think
it's very hard to build trust
they will think that okay then what's it to say he will not mess this up
exactly.
so I need to be the one to set this up
exactly so তোমার প্যারেন্টস যদি my philosophy in life is whatever is happening to you right now or whatever you're going through you are responsible for it right people hate when I say this I get so much hate online for saying this in many of my videos whatever you're going through right now, take 100% responsibility of it, right?
Yeah.
If someone's disrespecting you,
That's your
you've allowed them to
1000%, yeah.
you've allowed them
You have
to
allowed
disrespect
them
you.
to, yeah.
If your parents are giving you para about
Yeah.
the small things, you have allowed themselves to.
Yeah.
So now you got to go back and you got to build trust with them,
Yeah.
right? If a girl is giving you shit, you've allowed them. So now you got to go back to the girl, go back to basics of the relationship and build trust, right? You fucked up somewhere. So
Yeah, you fucked up, or you were unable to make this happen.
you were too complacent.
And you could have.
You
Like,
were too
there was no
complacent,
barrier
right?
to this. You could have.
It's
You
a very
didn't.
hard way to, like, sometimes
But I think it's the best way to see it. Like, otherwise, there's no end to like scapegoating things, right?
Yeah,
দেশের
yeah.
অবস্থা ভালো না, এই জন্য I couldn't make
Exactly,
money.
exactly.
This happened. বা আমি
Exactly.
কেমনে কন্টেন্ট বানাবো, আমার তো ক্যামেরা নাই, or
হ্যাঁ,
whatever.
yeah, তুমি like webcam দিয়ে বানানো দরকার, right? Exactly. So in that way, I really think এই trust জিনিসটা ম্যাটার করে. So whenever you do come across another instance যেখানে হোক, গ্রামে গঞ্জে হোক, শহরে হোক, it's because the kids have not established trust, right, with their parents. I think আমার এই রিলেশনশিপটা which eventually ended up in marriage, and also for my wife, I think we were also a little bit older. Like, if you think I'm 35 now, when we started I was 33, she was 28. We were at a point in our life, I think আমরা bachelor শেষ করছি, ও মাস্টার্সও করছে আমার ওয়াইফ, কাজ কাম করে টোরে, we were living alone. When we started dating, I was living in Indonesia, she was living in Canada. We already had our life somewhat together. We had made a series of decent decisions, good bolbo na, but good decisions, which got us to a very comfortable place in life. And তারপরে আমরা প্রেম করছি, তারপরে বিয়ে করছি. So ওই সময় parents were just like happy, যাচ্ছে না, ঠিক আছে, মানে ক্যারিয়ার বাদেও প্রেম করতেছে, you're normal. like that was my reaction from my parents.
How younger is she than you?
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
I feel, for example, আমাদের ছেলেদের জন্য, I think it's easier to get your parents on board, because আমরা ছেলে, at the end of the day, like,
একটু hello easy হয়.
easy. But I feel the main issue now with the love marriage issue is that, for example, usually love marriage গুলো আরো close age range এ হয়, আরো early হয়.
আমার বোন married someone like a few months older, I think 1 year maximum.
Right. So you have to understand. So when your sister বা any other girl যার university শেষ হয়েছে, that is the emergence time to marry, right? Parents are like freaking out
একদম
university.
লাল বাতি জ্বলে গেছে,
Now think যে ওর যে প্রেমিক 1 বছর বড় হোক বা 6 মাস বড় হোক, or whatever, he's also quite in the same area, right?
Yeah.
He's not established in any way. You, for example, you are now 35, right? So you have already established. Apu
I'm
also
still not established, bro.
but you are presentable, right? You're not straight out of university, right? You can maintain yourself. তখন যেটা ছিল somewhat, maybe, right? But ইউনিভার্সিটিতে বেরোয় একটা ছেলে, he cannot maintain himself, let alone a girl.
Depend করে.
But yeah, in most cases, if you go on, there will be a lot of cases যারা ইউনিভার্সিটি হওয়ার আগেই অনেক বড় লোক হয়ে গেছে, হইতেই পারে। But আমি বলছি যে in general sense, if you see the most Bangladeshis, they're not, right? They're 30, 35 এর যে they're making money. So that is the problem when it comes যে, and also when I come to the মেয়েদের পার্টটা, this family decision maker is the daddy, right?
Yeah.
আর মেয়েদের একটা, for example, she can do all of the stuff to build that trust, but father-এর সাথে communication অতটা নাই. Father-এর সাথে communicate, absent fathers, we are ruled by absent fathers. So
maybe you didn't try hard enough to make sure the
মেয়েটার তো maybe the father didn't try enough to, like, that's the father's responsibility.
The May also has to take responsibility for her own life, right?
She does.
If there's any females watching this, obviously I'm not imposing my opinion on what females should act like. What I'm trying to say is, again, whether you're male or female, take responsibility. And this is a golden nugget, I think, from this episode, is like, take responsibility for your relationship with your parents, right? In fact, আমি অনেক বছর গেছে আমার in my youth when I didn't have the best relationship with my parents, either one. Before my mom passed away, I think the 3 years before my mom passed away, magically, I think our relationship became a lot nicer and better. And we were back I lived abroad for a long time, and then I was back at home for about 2.5, 3 years. And with 2.5, 3 years, some of the friendship took খুব nice, and actually she passed away right after I moved away again. So that was really good. And then I think I'm going through that same process with my father, where I'm like actually finally first time in my life building a really good relationship with him, and I'm really happy about it. So I think, had I known this, like how I feel now, and like how my life decisions have now been very supported by my parents, I would have tried to build this trust at a much earlier age. Like be patient, actually, and understand. একটা জিনিস থেকে এই বিল্ডিং রিলেশনশিপ শুরু হয়, আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ডিং অ্যান্ড রিয়েলি ইন্টারনালাইজিং যে প্যারেন্টসরা যাই চায় আমাদের ভালোর জন্য চায়.
Not
Right?
seeing them as an enemy or
Not
things like that.
It's
Right?
it's more
I think
like
it's also very important. Yeah.
it's that mentality of like it's not me versus you, it's me and you against the world.
Yeah. And once you can establish in your head, Jay, okay, we want the same thing. Maybe another how we are approaching it might be different.
Yeah.
So
Acknowledging
it, and oita when you understand, it becomes easier to communicate with them. Jay, okay,
absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
I am thinking, if I do this and this, then আমি এদিকে যাব. And you are thinking this and this. So ওইখান থেকে they can come on, I think, middle ground or something like that. Right?
Absolutely.
Makes sense. আপনি একটু আগে বলছিলেন যে যখন হায়ারিং করেন, সো আপনি অনেকগুলো সাবজেক্টস দেখেন, রাইট? যে ও হয়তো বা কি পড়ছে অর হোয়াট এভার, এছাড়া আর কি হোয়াট আর দ্য টপ 5 থিংস যেটা আপনি খেয়াল করেন ইন এ সিভি?
Sure. Actually, in a CV না, মানে পুরা ওভারঅল যদি অ্যাসেসমেন্ট প্রসেস দেখি, I have a mental model for this, for hiring. It's called GWC. ঠিক আছে? I actually got it from a book. The book is called How to Be a Great Boss. It's a very simple book, খুবই simple একটা title, but it's got some really, important things like kind of, খুব concise, খুব easy ভাষায় বোঝানো. So GWC মডেলটা হচ্ছে get it, want it, and capacity to do it. বুঝাচ্ছি আমি কি? সো আমরা যখন কাউকে হায়ার করতে চাই, ধরো তুমি যে ভিডিও এডিটর হায়ার করছো, তুমি কি খুঁজতেছো? আচ্ছা, সে এডিট করতে পারে কি না ভিডিও, ঠিক আছে? দ্যাটস বেসিক্যালি দ্য সি, the capacity to do it. Does he have the capacity, the skill, the expertise to be able to do the job? That's the one tick mark we look for. The other two tick marks that are also really, really important is G and W. W থেকে শুরু করি. W হচ্ছে wanted. They may be the greatest editor in the world, but
how much they they
want your job? Do they want to work at this studio? Do they want to work with this podcast? That's what you need to try to get from their CV, their application, their assessment, their interviews, everything, right? The third thing, and this is the hardest thing to measure, is the get it. And simply, if I had to tell you what this means, is do they get it, right?
Do they understand the job?
Do they get it? I'm telling you, understand the job, ঠিক আছে, ভিডিও এডিট করতে হবে, বাট এখন কটা বাজে? রাত 10:30 বাজে. We are in Pallavi, Mirpur, right? Maybe it's far away from their home. They have to stay here, assuming that they're staying here right now, right? There's a lot of kinks and quirks of this job. Ridwan is a young guy. Sometimes he has a tough temperament. We are starting a podcast without really knowing whether we'll get an audience or not. There's a lot of variables here. At the end of the day, ওই যে কালচার ফিটের কথাটা বলে না, কালচার ফিট কারা হয় জানো? People who come into a situation, to a room, and just understand it. Just do they get it or not, right?
Nuances.
So that's just understanding just in a ঠিক আছে, I worked for a long time in startups. In a lot of startups, sometimes the culture is as such that you will need to work extra hours. You need to you need to give more than 100%, or do things other than.
And this G thing, এটা ফার্স্টে যদি না করা বোঝা যায়, পরে ইস্যু হয়.
Pore it will come up at some point, and it's the hardest thing to measure, really. So I always look for, when I'm trying to give the green light to hire someone, I'm always trying to think, okay, do they get it? Obviously capacity is number one, like কাজটা করতে পারে কিনা. Actually, the thing is, if they get it and want it bad enough, you can actually build capacity.
Right, true.
You can actually, you meet
it's
someone,
not most things are not rocket science.
You can build that capacity if people really want to, right? So yeah, those are the three things that I look for when it comes to hiring. The other thing that I like to try to find is, I think, and this is when I'm like looking at a CV or talking to a person for the first time, is like why they did what they did in the past. Right? So আমি ধরো তুমি you talked about your
so establishing patterns,
right? Like এই জব থেকে এই জবে মুভ করছিল, এই জব থেকে এই জবে মুভ করছিল 2 বছর পরে,
So time frame also gives you a যে কত কোনটা কোথায় ছিল and okay.
Yeah. One of the big red flags I look for is like
খুব short. অনেকগুলা চেঞ্জ খুব short.
Oh, big red flag.
Yeah,
Man.
big
I
red
mean,
flag.
interview. I mean, I usually don't interview these people. If I do interview these people, I mean, ধুয়ে দিব. I will go to the depths of each and every move, right? So I like asking about things like, hey, like what what motivated you to make that move? মানুষের কি করবে জানো, মানুষের বলবে যে না এই অপরচুনিটিটা আসছিল, it was very it was very lucrative, it was a higher salary, or like it was more at the time what I wanted to do, blah blah blah, blah. They're telling you the pull factors, what factors attracted them to the new job, right? But then you got to ask the push factors.
Okay.
What pushed you away from the job that you were in?
Okay.
Did you have an argument with your boss? Will you not get along with the work? What is it, right?
Because a lot of times it's not just an opportunity, it's also মানে যেখানে আসো সেখানে কিছু একটা প্রবলেম
কিছু একটা problem না কিছু মানে you're maybe getting you're complacent, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you're just like that the things get
or
harder.
maybe you're
at the job.
bored এখানে একটা
Yeah, but why are you bored? Maybe you're not putting your 100%. Maybe you're taking the job for granted. Maybe I don't know. There could be a lot of things, right? So I like going into a lot of detail, and people get annoyed at me for these interview questions, but I really want to know this, and I think it's a good way to just kind of get to know the person and their motives, and really see, actually, if you were to if they were to take your job, what are the real reasons? And then I now with my current job, I'm actually a recruiter. I've like stepped away from in-house HR. Now I'm a recruiter, so I recruit for companies.
Okay.
What we really see is recruitment is a game of, are you finding the right person for the seat, right? And also the other thing that you're trying to do is also you're trying to minimize cost. You're trying to get the best person for not the lowest cost, like the optimum cost for your company, right? And then you always got to see the reasons beyond money that someone is motivated by. So ওই জিনিসগুলা like একটা So just going back to your original question, the things that I look at is, first of all, I look at the GWC, the GWC Matrix, I like to call it. If it's all a check mark, and then the afterwards I see like what are this person's real motivations, like what is like ভিতরে কি আছে মানুষটা আমি চিনতে চাই জানতে চাই, and ওইটা যদি জেনে আমার মনে হয় যে হ্যাঁ what they want and what my company wants is there's an alignment, or there's a good overlap of it, only then you should make the hire.
For example, GWC তে সিটা মেজার করা অনেক ইজি, but how do you measure W and G?
Yeah, so W measure করার জিনিসটা হচ্ছে যে there is very subtle things that people can do. So let's say you invite someone for an interview, right? Do they show up on time or not? How much earlier do they show up? Let's say you're like you mentioned that a podcast say you didn't want anyone to dress formally, you wanted everyone to be casual. Fine, maybe they picked up on that, but did they put the extra effort to like look better, right? When you you can also establish this from, let's say, one of the things that I ask when I interview people is like, interview শেষের পর আমি জিজ্ঞেস করি, do you have any questions for me, right? The ones that really want the job really milk that opportunity. Those 5 minutes I give them to ask me questions, they ask me the best questions. They're like, I'm really excited about this role, like আপনি আগে যে এই রোলে হায়ার করছেন কাউকে, এই তাদের মধ্যে কারা কারা ভালো করছে, কারা কারা ভালো করে নাই, যারা ভালো করেছে তারা কিভাবে ভালো করেছে, হ্যাঁ, they're very curious, they want to know. You can feel that energy from someone, right, whether they want it or not. But if someone's like, let's say, slow on emails, right, if someone's slightly late for an interview, they're not that well presentable, রাস্তাঘাটে অনেক কিছু হয়, but still you can see if anyone's like putting in the effort or not. You can see if they want it or not. You can really see how much they want it or not. Let's say someone is late for an interview, হতেই পারে, do they have an explanation, right? Like I always give people the, hey, tell me what happened, like what's up, are you okay? If people are just going, oh no, I'm sorry, I'm late, like if it's red flag, right? But when you see like, oh no, hey, actually I'm like, some people are like, I'm really sorry this happened, my boss gave me this last minute work, agent I'm really sorry, like and then you genuinely feel,
it tells you যে this person late হইলে it's an event for him if it's late, right?
Yeah.
That is why he's making so many excuses, because this is an event for him.
Or no excuses enough. I mean, they have
not an everyday
legitimate reason why, like they are accountable. Like you can actually feel it. People can still bullshit through it, but but you can feel that they want it, and they have a solid explanation for it, right? So that's how you measure the W. The G is that. So
but usually I feel, and you could correct me on this, if someone wants to make it on time, they usually do.
They will make it.
They
They will
usually make it on
They
time.
will move mountains. Yeah. To make sure they get here ahead of time and all of that. I also appreciate, let's say, কারো দেরি হবে, হ্যাঁ, সে
Letting you
আগে
know in
ফোন দিয়ে,
advance, yeah. Bhai, I'm running a little bit
ভাই,
late.
I'm sorry, like I think I'm going to be late, just আপনাকে আগে থেকে বলে দিলাম, I really hope we can still do it today. In those cases, absolutely, you get my pass, right? Yeah, life happens to everyone. These things happen, so that's how you measure
Do
wanted.
you expect, for example, when you send people application mails, you have been selected or you come for an interview or whatever, do you expect the email in return?
ASAP, bro, ASAP. Like
I've seen
I
a lot
will
of people
usually
who
email.
don't mail back. They appear,
Yeah.
they have not mailed back or anything. They're not RSVP'd, or I don't know if they're coming or not.
I mean, নিবই না, like, I mean, obviously, I will only email them to confirm, right? Otherwise, that's a big waste of time.
Because you
better
have kept that slot
confirm.
free for them.
Yeah, exactly. You have to book that slot for them. I haven't physically interviewed someone in a very long time. I only just do
Online.
Yeah, bro. ঢাকা শহরের
Very
traffic.
efficient, more
And I work globally, right? Like for the last since 2019.
But don't you miss out on a lot of details?
I mean,
সামনাসামনি করলে you could have seen a lot of things.
yeah, but then সামনাসামনি করলে I can't, like, I'll have to fly to 5 different countries every week. Right? Do you think that's
Okay.
possible? I don't
Okay.
know. I don't actually. I rarely ever recruit people in Bangladesh now. I only mainly work with like Indonesia, Philippines, and Thailand, and all these countries, right? Yeah. So ওই দিক থেকে, yeah, you do miss out on something. You win some, you lose some, right? So wanted generally is like you look at those subtle signs of like whenever you give them an opportunity to go above and beyond, do they take it or not, right? মাঝে মাঝে দেখা যায় যে যখন অ্যাসেসমেন্টস দেওয়া হয়, ধর টেক হোম অ্যাসেসমেন্ট এন্ড অল দ্যাট, হ্যাঁ, টাস্কটা সিম্পল হলে কতখানি এফর্ট দিছে, when people go above and beyond, you're like, man, I gave this person an opportunity to set himself apart and they took it.
Yeah.
This is the guy.
Now, I have seen a lot of people, they do, for example, they need a job and they send out like a lot of applications.
Yeah.
I have personally seen that এর জায়গায় if you send out like selective few and ওই এক একটা selective fewতে খুব ভালোভাবে, for example, when I got my first job, I got my first job at a marketing agency. So what I did was I made a pitch deck for them, for every one of them, specialized for them.
Yeah.
Right. Tailored, and they could see, okay, মানে পিচ ডেক এতটুকু বানাতে পারছে, আচ্ছা, এত করে রিসার্চ করে বানাতে পারছে, মানে আমাদের আর রিসার্চ তো করতেই পারবে, রাইট? সো it becomes easy for them. তার জায়গায় if I would have like send copy paste mail to all of them, I think you could see through that.
You can see through it. Yeah. Okay. I think when you talked about like quantity or quality, my answer is actually both. Do both, right? Obviously do high quality and do high quantity as well. Judi like gajai, right? You need one job to get you, especially when you're early on in your career. Sometimes you don't even know what you want, right? And I'm very against actually having preconceived notions of what you want. Sometimes you don't even know what you want, but you look at every job application and you think, how can I tailor my application to this job? And that's a very good way to go about it. And so I agree with the having high quality applications. সবগুলোর জন্য tailor করো নিজের application. That's one of the main messages that I put out on my TikTok videos as well. Like every time you make a CV, আমার recently got a video on viral gets about making CVs. So I'm focusing on that. I'm making an online course on that right now. ওখানে আমি সবসময় বলি যে the number one thing is তুমি যখন একটা চাকরিতে অ্যাপ্লাই করবা, take a look at your existing CV, দেখো কোথায় তুমি কিছু জিনিস টুইক করতে পারো to really tell the recruiter who sees the CV যে you are made for this job. On average, a recruiter will spend 5 seconds on a CV. 5 seconds. I'm not kidding.
Because once I've also gone through a lot of CVs. So once you like have a practice of going through a lot of CV, আপনি 5 seconds is all you need to understand if it's worth reading more.
Yes, exactly. So as a recruiter, I'm always trying to save time, right? So in the first 5 seconds, I'm looking for one thing.
What's the first thing you look at?
Something to disqualify. একটা ভুল খুঁজি.
Right.
Or like depends on the job, right? So let's say I'm looking for.
Does aesthetics matter to you?
No. I'm actually becoming as I'm getting more and more into recruiting, I'm actually starting to see aesthetics matter, obviously, but like ওই যে সুন্দর formatted ওই নীল লাল কালার ভুংচো ওগুলা
only distracts
I
you.
actively detest it. I actively discourage and detest it. So I actually
So
have
একদম black and white is better.
yes, black and white, nice formatting,
Where nothing there is to distract me but pure data.
pure data, and also like I can actually find what I'm looking for. So let's say, by the way, like just side note, if anyone wants a really clean CV format, go to my website, sifat.com, and then you can
So
actually
you make
find.
they can template. They have templates there.
I have one template that I give out for free.
Okay.
So all you have to do is put your email down. That's my CTA.
Okay.
So yeah, if you go to any of my social media, the link is there. Because it's a সুন্দর CV format চায়. And I think this kind of format is the best for a recruiter because they সবগুলো কিছু clearly দেখা যায়. So back to your question, what is the first thing I'm looking for? The first thing that the thing that is most important for this job, right? So let's say আমি একজন I don't know data scientist কে hire করছি. Data science related কি experience আছে তার? That's the first thing I'm looking for, right? It could be either like an advanced degree, or it could be like a previous job at a similar level or like a similar field of
Does
data
pedigree
science.
matter?
Huh?
Does pedigree matter?
Pedigree বলতে?
University pedigree.
Depends. Depend করে. I mean, the thing is, if the person's
Would you
worked
go
at-
for someone like I'm just an equivalent of North South?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the thing is, dude. Again, context, right? If the person has done like 5 different gigs with really good companies, then who cares about what the university is? আরেকটা জিনিস চিন্তা করতে হবে, রাইট? মানুষজন অনেকে ইউনিভার্সিটি ডিগ্রি, স্কুল ডিগ্রি নিয়ে মানে খুব খুব মানে মেতে থাকে সিভির মধ্যে। When you graduate university, that's your highest level of selling point. যে তুমি এইটা বেচে তুমি ইউনিভার্সিটি তুমি জবে ঢুকতে পারবা, রাইট? When you have your first job, and let's say you've done your first job for 2 years, that's your highest selling point at that point. যে তুমি গত 2 বছরে কি করছো? University kind of becomes, I mean, it could stay still relevant in many ways, but it kind of becomes irrelevant at that point, right?
So you have been traveling for how many years now? Alone?
Alone. I think I left home alone to go to university in 2010. So I'd say
But that's different than traveling like solo.
But I
traveling.
mean that during that time I was also traveling. You know, a lot of the times, like আমার প্রথম year of university there, I moved to a different city for an internship, traveled across, like, and then yeah, I think 14 years ago is when I first started traveling alone or being by myself. মানে taking the decision to হ্যাঁ আমি একটা ট্রিপে যাবো এখানে একা, I think that started, আমার তো তখন ছোটবেলা টাকাও ছিল না পকেটে, I think 2014 এর দিকে, 2014 15 16 ওই সময়, so 10 years plus হবে that I've been solo traveling.
Okay. For the next part, I want you to motivate me to travel solo. Because a lot of people in the আমাদের অনেকে আছে যারা have the means to travel but do not have the people to travel with.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a big issue in Dhaka city because we are all truly very alone.
Yeah.
But I want you to tell for the audience that how could they start, or if there is any pros to traveling alone.
Yeah, so once again, I think your question initially was like convince me to travel solo.
Yeah.
কিছু না করতে চাইছে করবে না, right? But I'm going to tell you, I think, about the pros. There are also a lot of cons. I'm going to tell you about the pros because solo travel আমার জন্য খুব rewarding একটা experience ছিল, and it seems like তোমার জন্য খুব rewarding. একটু philosophical হয়ে যাই.
Yeah, go for
Solo travel, আমরা যখন সোসাইটির মধ্যে থাকি, we are, you know, within our friends, our family, our you know, co-workers and all of that. কোনো না কোনোভাবে সবার প্রভাব আমাদের উপর পড়ে, you know. তুমি একটা সুন্দর কালো জ্যাকেট পরে আসো, আমি এখন এখান থেকে একটা দোকানের পাশে যাবো যে উফ রেদওয়ানের এই কালো জ্যাকেটটা খুব সুন্দর আছে, আমি want to buy it. We are always at the mercy of এরকম ছোটো ছোটো influences from our loved ones, right? Which is okay, nothing good or bad about it. When you are alone in an environment which is foreign বলতে যে an environment তুমি যেখানে কখনো ছিল না,
যায় নাই।
হ্যাঁ, new place, new flavor, new nature, new buildings, new people, right? There's something about that brings in your true authentic self out of you. All of a sudden it's a shock to your system. Everything you are used to is no longer there. How do you act and who do you become in that environment?
That is the true you.
Could be, right? That's what I'm trying to imply. That could be more of the authentic you than you thought you were, because you were always at the mercy of different influences before.
You without all influences, without all the influences.
Yeah, one can argue that নতুন এনভায়রনমেন্টে গিয়েও অনেক ধরনের নতুন ইনফ্লুয়েন্সেস আসছে।
But you're not pleasing anyone there.
Yeah.
Necessarily.
Exactly. And I think the whole আরেকটা জিনিস যেটা হয়ে যায়, me and my wife talk about it a lot, is like when you're in a familiar environment, anonymity bole kichu nai. You're always, everyone knows you as Sifat, everyone knows you're this person, you are supposed to act a certain way of who you act before. When you go somewhere new, no one knows you.
Yeah.
It's liberating.
Yeah. I find it really liberating.
It's very liberating. You can actually be who you are, or you be who you feel like at the moment. And so that's I think the best part about solo travel. And I think since I left home in 2010, ওই সময় তার আগে আমি ট্রাভেল করছি জাস্ট ফ্যামিলির সাথে, because my family would never let me travel solo. And the first time I went to Canada, have my own place, started cooking alone, and I had friends there, but it was just not the same. A lot of my day was spent alone. একা হেঁটে ক্লাসে যেতাম আধা ঘন্টা বরফের মধ্যে, তখন আমার I didn't even have a proper headphone যে গান টান শুনবো. It was just me with my own thoughts. And a lot of that actually changed me, and I started becoming a happier person because I was more in tune with who I was than who other people thought I was or wanted to be. এটা হচ্ছে সবচেয়ে বড় জিনিস. So that became a bit of an addiction, to the point where I traveled to, I think, 15 countries by myself. And it was really fun. Could be fun, and I think I made the best friends during that time, because I would just go up to a place without without any expectations of whether I'd have fun or meet people or not. And I made some really good connections there. এটা একটা পার্ট, এটা একটা স্পিরিচুয়াল পার্ট অফ, আই গেস, মোর woo পার্ট অফ লাইক সোলো ট্রাভেলিং ওয়াই ইজ গুড। সোলো ট্রাভেলিং আরো ভালো হচ্ছে, ইটস চিপ, লাইক it's easier to plan. It's much easier to plan. তুমি যখন, even if let's say me and you go traveling, let's say we go to Paris, you want to go see the Eiffel Tower, I want to go see the Louvre, right? And we have one day only. Which one do we go to? Conflict, right? I want to stay at a budget hotel, you want to stay 5-star. My budget is low, your budget is quite high.
The couple traveling is totally different, right?
Couple travel is different,
you don't go to the same places, you don't stay in the same places where you'd stay alone. Would you I've seen this with a lot of solo travelers. Would you go in a place jeta khubi, like everyone goes to Mall Road, or jekhane khubi like happening shobai jaiteche, would you go there more, or would you go enjoy a little like lesser known better looking place?
আমি সব জায়গায় যাই। আমি যখন থাইল্যান্ড গেছি, আমি ব্যাংককে খাওসান রোডে পার্টি করছি যেখানে সবাই যায়। আমি এমন আইল্যান্ডে গেছি যেখানে কেউ যায় না। কোলান্টা আইল্যান্ডে গিয়ে 4 দিন পড়েছিলাম। I like to experience everything personally.
Okay.
Because obviously যেহেতু অনেক মানুষ একটা জায়গায় অনেক যাচ্ছে, there is something to see there. প্যারিসে গেলে তুমি আইফেল টাওয়ার দেখবা, there is something very special about it, right? But then you can also go to outskirts of Paris, যেখানে একটা আর্ট এক্সিবিশন হচ্ছে, যেখানে কেউ যায় নাই, তোমার কোনো ফ্রেন্ড যায় না বা যাবেও না, but you're like, I really want to go there because it speaks to my interest, right? Indonesia, I was there for 3 years. I spent a lot of time in Bali, where everyone goes to, right? But then I also went to the island of Sumatra, and I explored a town called Banda Aceh, which is on the northwestern tip. It's এখানে Sharia law, মানে তুমি যদি literally you can't find a woman without a hijab.
Okay.
If you
Where
are,
is it?
It's on the northwestern tip of Indonesia. It's in the island of Sumatra. It's called Banda Aceh.
Okay.
It's the most religious place in Indonesia, and আমার খুব মজা লাগছে জিনিসটা শুনে, যে হ্যাঁ এখনো মানুষ এভাবে থাকে। আমরা যেটাকে ধরো বাংলাদেশেও এরকম এত স্ট্রিক্ট,
we would see it as very aggressive.
Yeah. So ওখানে একটা টাউন আছে এরকম, and they have it's a very interesting history why the place is like that. And I was like, আমি এটা গিয়ে দেখতে চাই। And আমাকে অনেক টুরিস্টরা আর কি ওয়ার্ন করছে, people in Jakarta were like, oh man, it's a very backward place, you don't want to go there. ওখানে গিয়ে I don't know, like it might be dangerous. আমি ওখানে গিয়ে 3 দিন ছিলাম, it was so much fun. People are so warm. A lot of people have never seen a tourist before. They're like, hey, তুমি কে?
Those places are the best places to visit, যেখানে tourists কম দেখে।
Yeah. Tourists দেখেই না, and I went during COVID, no tourists. I was the only
welcoming people.
I was the only tourist there. There was during COVID, at a time where the border of Indonesia was closed, no outsiders are coming in. আমি তো ওখানে থাকতাম, আমার ওখানে ওয়ার্ক পারমিট ছিল। আমি ওখানে ঘুরতে গেছি অ্যান্ড মজা লাগছে I was like wow this is actually truly unique and it was honestly one of the best like one of my most memorable trips of all time. I took a bike around the largest volcanic lake in the world. It's called Lake Toba. That's also in the island of Sumatra. Machkane, and there's a video on YouTube about it. I got lost for like a few hours and then I had to basically lost হয়ে বৃষ্টির মধ্যে আটকা পড়ে গেছি in the middle of nowhere and then ultimately I found a few local boys who were like 16 to 17 years old who were camping nearby. আমি তখন খুব আমার ইন্দোনেশিয়ান এখন মানে পরে অনেক ফ্লুয়েন্ট হয় বাট তখন অনেক ভাঙা ভাঙা ছিল ওরা ইংলিশ পারেই না আমরা কোনো রকমে কমিউনিকেট করে ওরা অফার্ড মি টু স্টে ইন দ্য টেন্ট ফর দ্য নাইট সো আমি এক রাত গিয়ে ওদের টেন্টে ছিলাম সকালবেলা উঠে আমরা সানরাইজ দেখছি তারপরে আমি বাইক চালাই এখনো
I feel these little things are more rewarding than like going into the Eiffel Tower and like seeing from the view. I mean
Eiffel Tower is also great, man. It's also awesome.
This is something you'll not ever forget.
This is very unique and I think
something you'll not ever forget. যে আমি হারাই গেছিলাম একটা রাতে and this led to this adventure.
My most favorite travel story ever, that one. আরো এরকম অনেক হয়েছে ছোটখাটো. Those things are priceless and I think again benefits of solo travel, you get to know who you are, easier to plan, more spontaneous adventures. Overall I think some things that
you learn a lot too, right?
You learn a lot about yourself যে তুমি নিজে কি ভ্যালু করো ওই জিনিসটা তুমি কি টাকা সেভ করা ভ্যালু করো do you value experience more who you are as a true person. এটা নিয়ে একটা ভিডিও বানিয়েছিলাম টিকটকে last year, got a lot of views. It's more about like why you should solo travel, right? So these are the things that you should think about.
Makes sense.
If you haven't solo traveled, anyone watching, like,
but would you recommend someone to travel solo at least once?
Ekbar in their lives, definitely 100%. I actually my wife now or my girlfriend before, when we were dating, I actively encouraged her to take solo travel, and she did, and she found it really. She went to Nepal and Sri Lanka by herself, and it was really fun. She came back and said, "Wow, I now get what you were saying. It's so much fun."
And it's also it's also very rewarding. Okay,
I made new friends. Actually, when you solo travel, you make more friends because you're forced to talk to other people.
Yeah, forced to talk to other
when you are with your মানে নিজেদের ফ্রেন্ডদের সাথে যখন বাইরে যাও দেখা যায় নিজের সার্কেলের বাইরে যাওয়া হয় না।
True.
So এভাবে করে অনেক ইন্টারেস্টিং মানুষদের সাথে দেখা হয়।
As I said, আমি যে ট্রিপে গেছিলাম আমি ওখানে গেছিলাম like solo and then I made a few friends there and ওদের সাথে basically তারপর ক্যাম্পিং গুলো করছি।
And then the thing is ধরো ওদের সাথে একদিন ঘুরলা কিন্তু তারপরে প্ল্যানস ম্যাচ করছে না খুব ইজিলি আলাদা করে চলে যাওয়া যায়। একদিন টায়ার্ড লাগতেছে you can just stay at your hotel and play with the cat all day. Like it's okay. Like you have that freedom. It's really fun.
Makes sense. Do you read books though?
Yeah.
What kind of books?
Really boring. I read like just self-help books and
self-help books. A lot of self-help books.
I used to read a lot of self-help books. Now a little bit less.
Do they help?
Yeah. For me, yeah. আমি you have to also understand who I am. Like আমি ছোটবেলায় একদমই বই পড়তাম না। আমি যখন সবাই হ্যারি পটার বই নিয়ে অনেক ক্রেজ ছিল আমার স্কুলে তখন আমি বলতাম আমি ওয়েট করি মুভি তো বাড়িছে সবগুলো বার হোক তখন মুভি দেখে শিখে নিব স্টোরি। আমি এত লেজি ছিলাম অ্যাজ এ রিডার, গল্পের বইটা কখনো পড়তাম না, পরে পড়ছি লাইফে। বাট ইয়া আই থিঙ্ক আই ফার্স্ট গট ইনটু বুকস when I was like 22, 23 years old, বেশ বড় হয়ে তখন প্রথমে একটা বই শেষ করছিলাম and then kind of got into it and I read self-help. Now I read a lot. Now I
just recently a year 2024 I started reading self-help books. তার আগে I read গল্পের books and whatever. But there's still that কি বলবো my person in me who would rather watch the summary video on YouTube.
Well, you're lazy then.
I'm really lazy.
No. I mean, there's no right or wrong. I read books. I read self-help books. I think recent years I read more on spirituality. I read a few.
Are you a spiritual person?
I guess I like to think so. I mean, what is spiritual person?
Spiritual person is a person who thinks a lot about why they are who they are, why they are, right?
I think I'm a truth enthusiast. I want to know what the truth is of human existence and who we are.
Do you find yourself a lot researching these things?
Yeah, that's definitely an area of interest.
Okay. Religiously spiritual?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, I think to a large extent. I went through a lot of phases in my life where I resisted religion a lot. I always see my own religion and then other religions as well. And then I also found myself, আমার কিছু ফেজ গেছে লাইফের যখন আমি অ্যাক্টিভলি অনেক রিলিজিয়ন্স নিয়ে স্টাডি করেছি। কয়েকটা ইন্টারেস্টিং স্টোরিজ আছে। আই ওয়েন্ট টু আ ফিউ সানডে সারমনস লাইক যখন ইংল্যান্ডে থাকতাম, অনেকগুলো বড় লাইক সেন্ট পলস ক্যাথিড্রাল ফর এক্সাম্পল, one of the biggest like cathedrals and chapels in the world.
Is there a time you were religiously confused a little bit?
Not confused, exploring. Okay. I was exploring. I think I was reading a lot of spiritual books, and I was like, oh, I want to know how different religions practice, prayer, right? And I wanted to experience it myself. So what I did is Sunday আমি আমার একটা ফ্রেন্ড গিয়ে সেন্ট পলস ক্যাথিড্রালে গিয়ে আমরা সানডে যে সার্ভিসটা হয়, চার্চের সার্ভিস, যে প্রেয়ারটা ওটা করছি। একদম গিয়ে ওই যে ওয়াইন খাওয়ায় দেয়, পরে বডি অফ জিসাস, ব্লাড অফ জিসাস বলে সব করছি, মজা লাগছে। তারপরে মাই এক্স গার্লফ্রেন্ড এন্ড আই, আমরা প্রথমবার যখন নেপালে আমি অনেকবার গেছিলাম, আমরা ওই যে পশুপতিনাথ টেম্পল, যেটা হচ্ছে তোমার এয়ারপোর্টের খুব কাছে, যেখানে যে বডিজ বার্ন করা হয়, ওখানে গিয়ে এক সাধু বাবার সাথে কথা বলছি। সে খুব পছন্দ করছে আমাদের, নিয়ে একদম ওদের গুহার মধ্যে নিয়ে গেছে, যেখানে ওদের বাবাগুলো থাকে ওখানে বসে আমাদেরকে 3 ঘন্টা মেডিটেশন করে।
আঘরিরা থাকে বেসিক্যালি।
হ্যাঁ, মানে একদম মানে ওখানে এনশিয়েন্ট টাইম 14th সেঞ্চুরি একটা কেভ আছে, ওখানে মানুষজন বসে বসে
লাইক হোয়াইট পেইন্টেড বাবাস।
না ওরকম না, more just like pretty normal guys, but they live in that place, they meditate and all that, they don't have phones and all that. ওখানে নিয়ে গেছে, খুব পছন্দ করছে আমাকে। তো নিয়ে গিয়ে আমাদের বসে ধ্যান করেছে অনেকক্ষণ, খুব মজা লাগছে জিনিসটা। ওইসব জিনিসগুলো খুব মজা। আমার লাইক গ্রোয়িং আপ, I'm obviously Muslim, but from a Muslim household, growing up I had a lot of Hindu friends, and to the point আমরা এত ক্লোজ ছিলাম। আমার 2 of my best friends ছোটবেলা, এখন আমরা খুব ক্লোজ, আমরা বোথ হিন্দু। ওদের বাসায় যখন খেলতে যেতাম, ওদের বাসায় একজন বাসায় টেবিল টেনিস বোর্ড ছিল, খেলতে যেতাম। ওদের খেলার সময় আমাদের যখন মাগরিব আজান দিত, ওরা সব পুজো করতে বসতো, আমাকে নিয়ে বসতো, ওদের পুজোও দেখছি। সো ওই দিক থেকে খুব মজা লাগছে। অ্যান্ড I'm in a way a very spiritual person. I think আমার মা একটা কথা বলতো, খুব ভালো লাগতো, is আল্লাহ সবার একটাই আল্লাহ আছে, কিন্তু আমরা এক একজন এক এক নামে তাকে ডাকি। অ্যান্ড I really believe in that. আমার খুব সুন্দর লাগে। Now that I'm getting older and অনেক কিছু হচ্ছে আমার লাইফে, ওই একটা কথা আমার খুব মনে পড়ে যে আসলে, and also state of the world, right? There's so much conflict because of religion. মানুষ একে অপরকে দেখতে পারে না, religion বেটার হতে পারে, so much খুব
polarized world.
হ্যাঁ, খুব বেশি polarized হয়ে গেছি আমরা as a world. So একটু unit one ভাবেছি। So আমার going back to am I a spiritual person? Yes, আমার এই টপিকটা খুব মজা লাগে।
Do you sometimes find yourself researching this, also correlating with Islamic facts and stuff?
A lot of times, and I also দেখা যায় যে
you try to find the science behind the religious
science behind it also. I think যেটা আমি অতটা সায়েন্টিফিক না, অত রিলিজিয়াস না, মানে if you ask me about like certain things about a certain religion, আমি বলতে খুব ভয় পাবো, স্পেশালি ক্যামেরা, because I might get it wrong. সায়েন্সের ক্ষেত্রে সেম, I'm not a science person, but I like science, but I haven't studied that much in detail. যেটা আমার সবচেয়ে বেশি ইন্টারেস্টিং লাগে হচ্ছে প্যারালেলস অফ ডিফারেন্ট রিলিজিয়ন্স। ঠিক আছে, সবচেয়ে অনেক মজার কিছু প্যারালেলস আছে। It's hard, I mean, to scared to say it. Maybe if I say something wrong,
we have had much controversial episodes.
Controversial না। সো আমরা যখন আমি নেপালে গেছিলাম প্রথমবার, আমাদের একটা ট্যুর গাইড ছিল, সেই ট্যুর গাইডটা আমাদেরকে বোঝাচ্ছিল। সো আমরা বাক্তাপুরে গেছিলাম। বাক্তাপুর ইজ ওয়ান অফ দোজ লাইক ভেরি রিলিজিয়াস টাউনস ইন নেপাল। খুব টুরিস্ট একটা প্লেস, বাট ভক্তপুর মানে ভক্তরা যায় ওখানে আর কি। ইটস আ ভেরি রিলিজিয়াস প্লেস। There's a lot of Hindu temples there, but there were also Buddhist at a point of time. Hindu and Buddhism মধ্যে অনেক মিক্স আছে ওই জায়গাটায়। সো ওই সময়টা আমার খুব অ্যাক্টিভ ইন্টারেস্ট ছিল। আমি যোগা টোগা করতাম অনেক বেশি, সব দিক থেকে। I was like really, not that yoga is just Hindu or Buddhist, I was really into meditation. সো তখন আমি খুব অ্যাক্টিভলি ইন্টারেস্টেড ছিলাম ওসব জিনিসে। সো কয়েকটা জিনিস মজা লাগছিল যে আমরা লর্ড বিষ্ণুর, যে ইজ এ হিন্দু গড অবভিয়াসলি, তার ডিফারেন্ট ইনকার্নেশনস সে পৃথিবীতে এসেছিল। I think that's true. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments if anyone knows better. So different incarnations. 9th incarnation of Lord Vishnu was Buddha. Was Lord Buddha. That's how
the Buddhist see it.
No. That's how the Hindu see it. Lord Gautam Buddha kintu Hinduism-এও একটা God.
Okay.
If I think so. Okay. So again, correct me if I'm wrong. So 9th incarnation was Gautam Buddha, and so obviously, like for Buddhists, Gautam Buddha is the enlightened one, is the main teacher of the religion. Whereas Hinduism, there is like 1,000 other teachers, and the main one is Lord Vishnu, and then there's Shiva, and then there's Hanuman and all that, right? All of that. So 9th incarnation was Lord Buddha. And then I was and there are supposed to be 10 incarnations of Vishnu. So I asked naturally, so who's the 10th incarnation? So তখন খুব ইন্টারেস্টিং একটা কথা বলছে, সেটা বলছে যে that 10th incarnationটা আসবে
is yet to come, Kalki Avatar.
Yes.
Yeah.
The 10th incarnation will happen যখন পৃথিবী ধ্বংস হয়ে যাবে.
And you can find the same
And
story.
you can find that same story in Islam, in Christianity,
yeah.
in Judaism,
Yeah.
in Hinduism. And I was like, it was such a wow moment for me.
Yeah.
I was like, ছোটবেলা থেকে আমরা যে কিয়ামতের কাহিনী শুনি, you know, Hazrat Isa alayhi salam will come back and all that, you know, and then you know the second coming of Jesus will happen. Jesus is going to stand up to the Antichrist, and all that stuff is going to happen.
Right.
So it was like a huge.
Everyone is giving the same spoilers.
Yeah,
spoilers.
It's such a big mindfuck, and I was like, you know, and then it kind of established a deep, you know, understanding of আমার মা কি বলতো actually জিনিসটা. My mom was a very spiritual person.
It's the same God, but everyone মানে over time everyone call it by different names.
Yeah,
and like
I think the teachings are very same. Religion, আমাদের you know, religion obviously আমরা as Muslims বিশ্বাস করি it's the word of God, right? Like আল্লাহ আমাদেরকে ইয়েটা দিয়েছে, আমাদেরকে এই ব্লেসিংটা দিয়েছে by giving him his message through the Quran, and we follow it, right? Now, religion, why did man need religion? To keep us, আমরা integrity নিয়ে কথা বলছি.
morals.
Integrity যাতে
our morals come from religion.
Integrity, yeah, right? In our morals, exactly. The right and wrong comes from religion, right? So we needed that as humans, and so right and wrong came to us in many different messages and paths, and it's very and they're all the same. আমরা কি করি, বুদ্ধিস্ট মানুষ বসে ধ্যান করে,
that 10 commandments, ওই basic day of
বুদ্ধিস্ট মানুষ বসে ধ্যান করে, and that's their prayer. আমরা বসে আমরা নামাজ পড়ি. নামাজটা কি? 5 times a day.
It's meditation.
You leave everything that you think about. You face the Kaaba and you meditate, and you and
is
you
the process of meditation different
in
short
a
jonno,
different way,
but the core thinking is same.
Please extremists don't kill me. Like,
no, I don't think they will.
I think we try to keep it positive here.
A lot, if you think about it, a lot of Muslims also, like Muslim scholars will say, like I have heard this video je Krishna could have been, or this Gautam Buddha or whatever their lords were, could have been a prophet.
Yeah.
They believe that this the like আমাদের এতগুলা 28টা না কতটা প্রফেটের নামে নেওয়া হয়েছে, and they have been till 1 লাখের উপরে না কত লাখের উপরে প্রফেটস ছিল that we don't know of.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, or a lot of holy people might be prophets.
Yeah,
basically
sensitive topic, but very interesting. I know. Yeah.
So yeah, that was I think
very interesting place to end. But
very interesting place to end. But yeah, I really had a like this unscripted. I should do this unscripted thing more often.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, man.
Paka Kotha, oh, we rise high, they just stay low. Paka Kotha, yeah, we speak loud, no